Welcome to Backyard Cigars. Today I'm smoking a slightly larger cigar. This cigar is none other than Saga Short Tails Tomo 6, the sixth element, El Tabaco. And this cigar is by De Los Reyes Cigars. The name came about as a homage to the family Saga, the 150 years that have gone into tobacco manufacturing, tobacco growing, production, you name it, anything that has to do with tobacco, that the De Los Reyes family has been doing for over 6 generations. And that's why Saga was chosen. Admittedly, the name was approved by the head of the company, Nirka Reyes. She is the daughter of Augusto Reyes, and Augusto Reyes let her take over, or basically she earned her spot, but he got into something else and he let her come to the forefront and help her run the factory. And this is a factory in Santiago, the Free Zone in the Dominican Republic. And their family has been there just about, seems, forever. So there's a lot of history. The boxes of these cigars actually are shipped in what looks like a book with binder and everything, and it has a little bit of information on the cigar plant on the inside. So it's pretty cool how they designed all of that. It is pretty cool how this company has really rebounded and turned into what I would call a pretty big success story. This cigar measures in at 5.5 by 58 ring gauge. It has a Mexican San Andres wrapper, a binder from San Vicente. San Vicente is a Dominican tobacco varietal that is quite common in the Dominican Republic. That's what's used for the binder. The filler is something slightly different, and I'll tell you why. The filler is made up of Dominican tobacco, Nicaraguan tobacco, and Pennsylvania tobacco. USA, Pennsylvania, right? But it's only high primings, the Corona leaves, that are used from these tobaccos for the filler. So in the case of the Dominican tobacco, it's Dominican Piloto Cubano Mejorado. And mejorado in Spanish means bettered or improved. So you have the Dominican, then you have the Nicaraguan high primings, and then you have the Pennsylvania broadleaf high primings. Now, Pennsylvania broadleaf is a potent tobacco. The Nicaraguan tobacco is no slouch either. And the Dominican tobacco, while it is normally classified as a mild to medium tobacco, can be potent depending on how you grow it. And very few people know how to grow Dominican tobacco better than De Los Reyes family. And that's what they put into this. The Saga Short Tails obviously have Saga Short Tails 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I believe it's up to 7, and then the predecessor is the Saga, the Golden Age, and I think they've got a new line out, different vitola sizes, and just different blends. This cigar was blended by Nirka Reyes herself. This is one of her blends, and so here we have a company that has a female at the top, literally in charge of the blending, big part, or has the final word on the packaging, the marketing, the presentation of the cigars. And I'll tell you a little bit more about her, but first I want to tell you a little bit more about what I'm tasting from the cigar. So you can see, big range cigars tend to do that. You just fill up the air with a lot of smoke. So I'm kind of used to that and expecting that when I smoke a big ring gauge cigar. But this cigar is kind of medium right now, maybe a little medium plus. It's got some sweetness and it's got a little bit of leather coming forward. Bit of pepper on the finish. Right now the pepper's sort of mild, but let's see how it develops. I haven't been as content with the burn line. It may need a touch up, but it's not horrible right now. I mean, it's a beautiful day today. It's 75 degrees. There's literally no wind, and a rainstorm, thunderstorm just passed over about an hour ago. So birds are out chirping. It's a lovely day to smoke a nice big ring gauge cigar. But I'm not a fan of big ring gauge cigars, but I can appreciate them when they're done right. And 56 is usually where I draw the line, but I would make an exception for a larger ring gauge cigar if it could deliver consistent quality and if it could deliver a well-rounded, balanced profile. I'm sure that they exist. I haven't tried every big ring gauge cigar that there is. I've tried quite a few. Some have been okay. One or two have excelled, and then the rest have kind of fallen short. But look, like I said, there are a lot of cigars that both you and I haven't tried and are left for us to explore and determine if big ring gauge cigars are going to stick around. They're obviously going to have to deliver consistent quality. Very well balanced right now is what I'm feeling is, the pepper in the finish, the sweetness up front. I just got a bit of earthiness right now, a little bit of coffee. Yeah, it's developing quite well into the first inch. But let's talk about Nirka Reyes for a moment, because I think that she's amazing. I'm in awe of her story, the things that she's done. She's about 32 years old right now, so she's fairly young, and she's admitted that apart from being a woman in a male-dominated industry, one of the bigger challenge was overcoming ageism, and just the fact that a lot of people didn't think that she might be old enough to possess the wisdom and the knowledge to carry the company forward. Boy, have they been wrong. They have been really wrong. Her father, Augusto, he's been supportive of her every step of the way, even if they disagree. They've managed to go back to doing things the way that they were done in the times of her grandfather, Don Julio. And a lot of people talk about De Los Reyes tobacco, and a lot of times it's mentioned in regards to the fact that over the course of time there have been so many lines, so many brands that have used their tobacco, but they've never really highlighted their tobacco in their own cigars until 2006, really, when the Augusto Reyes premium cigar was introduced, which is now it's not an existing line, but they struggled with that, and that's part of Nirka's story in the struggle to improve her father's company, her family's company. She was 18 back in 2007, and she had wanted to get involved in the company, and she had asked her father if she could, just get like part-time job, something doing in the company. He didn't want her to be a part of the company. He wanted her to just continue her studies, do her thing basically. But she applied anyway through her own ways, and she was hired, and she worked in human resources. They moved her around to finance, they moved her around to inventory, and finally production. And she says, and this is from a story, I believe it was in Cigar Aficionado a few years back, that production obviously was the hardest. She would sit down with her father, smoke a cigar, and her father would say, "What do you think?" And she'd say, "Yeah, I like it." And her father would tell her, "No, that's not going to cut it. You need to explain. You need to give a better answer as to why you like it, why you don't like it, and what you're feeling about the cigar, what it brings forth." And finally, she got it. She started understanding. She started learning about the process from beginning to end, just everything that goes into it. Looking at the plants on the field, getting to know the different parts of the tobacco plant, getting to know the overall work that goes out on the field to harvest the tobacco, and getting familiar with the varietals. And she's got quite a family. Her uncle Leo de los Reyes, he's the first man to grow Dominican Piloto Cubano in the Dominican Republic, and his farm, La Navarette Farm, just a little outside of Santiago, is a legendary farm that not only grows Dominican Piloto Cubano, but it grows wrapper leaf, which is very rare in the Dominican Republic. Wrapper leaf isn't something that's easily grown, and he grows it. Negrito, he grows it. And so, the San Vicente, all of the different varietals is what Leo works with. And Nirka has soaked this in, and she has learned all about that. And so she knows how to incorporate these different things into the blends for her flagship cigar, the Saga. Yeah. Good coffee. It's good coffee. Good coffee. Earthy tobacco. Very distinct aroma. Very distinct. It's almost has floral, earthy notes in the aroma. It's quite a thing. So Nirka pretty much says that from 2007 to 2011, she was an assistant to everyone, learning little bits and pieces of what it takes to work for the family business. And then in 2011, she quit. She went back to working and studying. She tried to do finance. I don't say she tried to. She did finance for a little bit. She wasn't as happy in her job as she was at the farm. And her father wanted to take a step back in day-to-day operations, and he called her up and said, "Look, I need your help. I know, you're doing your own thing. It's probably what I wanted you to do from the beginning, but now I'm asking for your help." Father to daughter. How could she resist? She was itching to get back in there and give it another shot, and she did. And she used everything she's learned in finance, as well as all of the experience she got from being everybody's assistant, and everything that she's soaked up from her uncle Leo and her father Agosto. So eventually, she said, "Look, this company is making 13 something million cigars a year, and they're making them for a lot of online retailers and a lot of other lines. We're gonna give people notices, and we're gonna start shutting down some of these lines, and we're gonna start putting this tobacco to use for us." And even now, I believe they still sell a lot of tobacco, make a lot of cigars, more so than for themselves, but they're growing, and you've got to grow somehow, and she's got a vision. I see that when I hear her talk, when I see her express herself about tobacco. She knows she's got what it takes. A little bit of leather, some sweetness, very mild pepper. I was expecting more pepper. Right now, in terms of strength, if you want to ask me, it's a medium plus, as it was before. But this is one of the things that Nirka wanted to address, was right away from the get, want to hit him with that uppercut and let him know that that old myth that I mentioned before about how Dominican Republic tobacco is mild and medium at best in terms of strength is just that, a myth. And they can grow potent tobacco, and more importantly, blend it perfectly with other tobaccos to create a very strong cigar, a full-bodied cigar, but without making it harsh or without making it so aggressive that it would turn off a person who likes a medium-bodied cigar. In this case, this is meant to be a full-bodied cigar, so they're going to bring it with this. And when you tell me that they put Pennsylvania tobacco in here, I mean, I know already where you're going with this. But I like the fact that they're using a Dominican varietal, el Dominican Piloto Cubano, and they've added that twist where it's a mejorado. It's a better version of your typical Dominican Piloto Cubano, which we already know that these fillers that are being used are different in the sense that they're using the Corona leaves, they're using the high primings. Generally, you get more strength out of them anyway. So, but this has to be blended right, or else it can just be overkill. And I'm not feeling like they are missing any steps right now. I feel like everything is working at a certain pace. It's burning nicely. That burn line has adjusted. And then just take a look at the band right here. And I know it's in reverse as always. I've yet to fix that, but maybe I get around to it. It says Saga Short Tails and in golden green, and the letters on Saga are cut out, so behind them what you see is the color of the wrapper. No word really on the age of their tobaccos. I don't know, but I'm going to tell you right now, this family has a ton of tobacco, so I wouldn't put it past them to put some of the filler in there and have it be a little aged. And it really, I couldn't confirm that at this very moment, but just from how smooth it is in this blend so far, I'm thinking to myself that some of the tobacco in here has been well aged. I couldn't take a guess on it. I wouldn't be able to taste it and be that good at it and tell you 5 years versus 8, but definitely a little bit more than the norm, at least for some of them. Bit of a dry finish, got some intense sweetness in that last puff with a bit of pepper. So it's working really nice, transitioning gradually, and again, very distinct, very potent aroma, but very nice. Nirka worked hard to gain the respect of her peers, as well as the respect from her family members. And it wasn't easy. She definitely has had some situations with individuals that have questioned her and in her own words, made indecent proposals, which is something that we shouldn't tolerate. We should not think that that's okay in any way. So, good for her for standing up for herself and making her family proud. Because if this cigar is any indication, I mean, and this is the first one that I've ever had from her company. I think I've had their tobacco in other lines, and I've loved it. I believe Caldwell has used their tobacco as well in some of his lines, and in some of his cigars. So I've tried it. I know the quality behind it. I know the history behind the family, and how long they've been doing it, and I know the dedication. But Nirka for me is Nirka Reyes to me is such a star, such an appealing woman in her knowledge of tobacco and her willingness to learn. And one of the things she said was, look, we're going to downsize, and it's going to hurt, and we're going to change certain things about our company. Normally, she mentioned that rollers get paid based on how many cigars they roll. She said, we're going to change that. We're going to make it based on the quality of their rolls, with a base on production, on how many they roll, but more emphasis on quality. And look, if you're a roller and you know you're good, you're going to accept the challenge, and you're going to say, okay, we can work like this. We can deal this way. Let me show you what I got. Because you're going to get paid more, and the incentive is there. So that was very smart. Nowadays, they're making a little under 3 million cigars a year. A little under 3 from 13. They are focusing heavily, and I would only assume using the very best of their tobacco for their flagships, for their lines. And I don't think that means that they're cheating anyone else out of a great cigar. I just think that, hey, look, you've got to look out for number one. And in this case, number one is family. So in order to bring that pride back, in order to restore that sense of pride in what they're doing, she had to use these family values along with innovative ideas to literally blend them together the way she's blending this marvelous tobacco and make it work. Some people were not going to be happy with the changes. That's common, that's normal. But she had what it took to say, this is what needs to be done in order for us to be successful. And if we're willing to stick it out, we will make it. And they've done it. They've done it. Let me tell you, they've done it. I'm going to spend a little more time with this cigar. So I'll be back in just a... Now, we talked about how Nirka has taken this company to another level, and how she works very closely with her uncle Leo. Now, Leo grows about 17 or so different varietals on his farms. Remember that the Navarette Farm, another farm that I gotta visit before I go, is also another legendary farm, another bucket list farm. And what he does there is amazing. He's just like a mad scientist, but without the madness. I mean, just to name a few, some of his uncommon tobaccos. And this is what Nirka's working with too. She's got access to this. It isn't as is it's free. She's got to negotiate to get to it, but she has access. And so we look at HVA, Havana Vuelta Arriba, Carbonel, San Vicente. We know the Piloto Cubano Mejorado, Pilotica or Pilota, something like that. Negrito, we know about that. That's the shade wrapper. Dominican Olor. He's got Cuban 2020 Cuban hybrid seeds, Habanesi, Criollo, Capa, Andulo, Cauca. Um, yeah, it's a lot, and it's okay. Yeah, we can use that cliched word, innovative, but anyone can, not anyone, but a lot of people can get in the lab or out on the field and start working with different things and ultimately fail. But for you to go out there consistently and get it right just because of your wealth of knowledge and experience, I mean that's really a big plus. And I know a lot of companies are doing this. They've got guys out there that are working on hybrids, that are working on new varietals, and it's good that everybody's doing this because it's going to benefit us. That's who it's going to benefit. All these new things, I mean, there was the only thing that could be negative about something like this, and Nirka herself pointed this out, because of government regulations and the taxes based on nicotine and so forth, and the regulations based on the nicotine. She said, you know, well, what do they want us to do? Ensure that we're going to grow every single plant to have the same exact amount of nicotine in every plant? She says, tobacco's a growing thing. It changes. It isn't something that you can manipulate in that way. I mean, one thing is to take varietals, to take seeds and crossbreed, do all of that, and grow a sturdier plant that will be less susceptible to pests and rot and things like that. Those are great things. Those are positive things for the industry. But the minute you start trying to change the I don't know, the DNA of the plant, what makes it the plant that it is, then obviously you're going into muddy waters, and I know a lot of the cigar legends don't want to go there. Why should they? It's ridiculous. This cigar is just, I mean, I was expecting a strong cigar, and while it's getting more to that fuller body, the balance it has is amazing. I could smoke this every day. I really could. And you know, it's I believe, I forget what famous cigar expert named this cigar best cigar, number one cigar of the year in 2019, and was completely just adamant about how the Aging Room Quattro was not number one. It was this cigar. And look, like I said in a previous video, or maybe you'll see it eventually, I've tried a lot of the cigars in the 2019 best of for Cigar Aficionado. The winner in question, Aging Room Quattro, was, to me, and still is, an incredible cigar. Just incredible. Putting this cigar in the ring with an Aging Room Cuatro Maestro, Nicaragua, to me almost feels like a Tyson Fury versus Anthony Joshua fight. Because both cigars are incredible. I haven't finished this one yet, obviously, and it's the first one I've ever had. I haven't previously smoked it like I like to do normally, and this is just it's really wowing me, just incredible. And I had the same feeling when I was smoking the 2019 Aging Room Quattro. I did, but it was a more medium-bodied cigar. It was a different cigar than this. It was it's obviously the Torpedo Vitola, and it's box pressed as well. And it's I forget if it's a Nicaraguan puro. I believe it is, and it's an excellent cigar. It really is. But I'm not an expert when it comes to judging things like that. I remember having a every time I smoked that cigar for the last 2 years has been a great experience, and it has been consistent. But this right now, in as it is, it might edge, in my opinion, it might edge the Aging Room Quattro Maestro. If you had to go back in time, be a Monday morning quarterback and all that, and if you could turn back the hands of time, and if you could alter it for that moment to have it be your way and your pick, then yeah, I'd do it. I'd do it in a heartbeat. I don't normally do this. I really don't. And before I do this, I want everybody to just realize that it's not what you think. It's more than that, and I'll prove it. So many times we celebrate the great men in the tobacco industry, in the cigar world. You know, the Padron, Jose Pepin Garcia, Manuel Quesada, Arturo Fuente, Carlito Fuente. The list goes on and on if you go into the Dons section. And that's great. And I love these guys. I do. Ipi Carrillo, Lito Gomez. You can keep naming names like Rafael Nodal and even Leo Reyes. But oftentimes, except up until recently, maybe when we've been seeing a lot more of Lisette Perez Carrillo and a little bit more from the Arturo Fuente family and the women from that family. I believe Cynthia. I'm sorry if I got the name wrong, but Cynthia Fuente. I'm not. Look, I want to show you something, and forgive the black and white photo. This is Miss Reyes herself, Nirka Reyes. Now, what I see when I look at this picture, and I know that for some guys right now, you're going to look at it and you're going to say, wow, that's a very attractive woman holding a cigar, which makes her look even more attractive, which is something that probably appeals to men, and that's fine. But what I see is something different. Yes, she's attractive, but that's the last thing on my list. The first thing that I see on her is I see the look of determination and confidence of a strong woman who's not afraid to question herself, doubt herself, or even cry if she has to. But a woman who can rise up, get out there in the fields, regroup, and make it happen. And I see from her picture and her poise and her posture that she's prepared, that she has what it takes to get the job done, and she's not afraid. And that's great for us as cigar smokers, because we need cigar companies to just not be afraid and be adventurous, be different, but still keep traditions alive and still keep family at the core of it. I see a woman who has a vision for her company, and you can look at the superficial, but that only gets you so far. We've heard that before. In her eyes, what makes it appealing to me is you can see her passion for tobacco, her passion for what she does. I see it I've seen it in different pictures and videos where her interaction with the tobacco plant is special. And that's what made a lot of the greats great, right? So it's time we start talking about women in this way and not just hold them as something that is an object, not an object, but a person with passion, a person that is determined to do good things. And look, I'm all about the love of the leaf, man. I'm really all about the love of the leaf. It doesn't matter to me, as long as, generally speaking, they're a good person, good individual. But to me, it's like, I don't care if you're a woman, if you're a man, if you're gay, if you're religious, non-religious, Republican, Democrat. To me, I find that, look, we all have something to bring to the table, and in life, that's just the way it is. We all play a part, even if we may never meet in life. We all share something, and it can be distant at times, but other times it can be more intimate. And the passion that we have for the things that we do and the things we love, they create that. And so you love coffee. So when you make coffee at home, you need to buy good coffee. And you go out and you go to the store and you get coffee that's coming from maybe a farm in Nicaragua or a farm in Colombia. And you have workers making that coffee, and you're part of that process. You're part of that connection now. You're part of the work that they put into that coffee is now you're going to experience that. And you may or may not appreciate it, depending on who you are. But if you're a coffee guy, you're going to want to know about the farm. You're going to want to know about, if you can find out about the company itself in general, you're going to want to know more about it. And if you like it, you're going to get even more interested. So I think it's time that we start celebrating not just the women in our lives, but I mean, look, as far as I'm concerned, Nirka Reyes is a woman in my life now, because she's making a great cigar that I love, that I'm going to try. And not in that way. It's in the same way that Y Picarillo is a part of my life and a man in my life. This is how serious it is for me. I just like to have fun with it and not take it too seriously, but serious in my dedication to the experiences that I have with tobacco. I don't know if that even makes sense, but I want it to count. I don't want it to be like 1970s New York cab driver smoking out the front of the window, doesn't really care about quality, doesn't really care about the cigar. I mean, he may like the cigar, obviously, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be of high quality. And that isn't to say that they're not having a good smoking experience, but they're also doing it to pass the time in the middle of their job. I kind of like to just relax with it, not be at work, obviously, and just chill, take it easy. Runtime's kind of long on this one. I think that means I've been babbling. Look, I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to come back and just kind of sum up the cigar and bid you farewell. Give me one moment. I'll be right back. Started off with some leathery notes and slight pepper finish, sweetness up front. By the second third, it was still giving me occasional leather hints, but it was sweeter. And I got coffee notes, earthiness, and that gradually would shift with blasts of pepper, blasts of sweetness, and then heading into the final third, it just, you started getting these rich, chocolatey, creamy notes with some earthiness to it, and then that coffee. So it was almost like if you had like a coffee note with cocoa powder sprinkled on top of it, and a rich earthiness beneath it to just sort of balance it out. The sweetness and the amount of pepper really work together to kind of take turns in their providing the different finishes. Burn line had a little problem in the beginning, corrected itself, never had another issue with it. So the construction for me was on par. The finish on it was a bit dry, but then towards the second and final third, that eased up a bit, and you just got a little bit of sweetness mixed with pepper in the finish. and a bit of that earthiness. And I'm in the final third right now. You know, I'm headed down to the bottom of this. I'm going to do the nub, and I feel like it's still really creamy with sweetness and a soft leather note, along with just a good dusting of cocoa, and that's what I'm getting right now. You know, you'll occasionally get that pepper spark, is what it is right now. It's just a little pepper spark, and yeah, I just got earth, leather, cocoa, and then a feeling of like a creamy finish to it. So it's been working really well. This is a cigar I would recommend to try. I do, and you know, the story behind it is great and everything, but you gotta you gotta have the cigar to back it all up. And this is how you do a big ring gauge cigar, 58 ring gauge. It's got the flavor of a freaking Corona. So I'm gonna say goodbye to you guys right now. I'm gonna thank you for watching, and I'm going to just say, please leave anything that you may want to know about my experience in the comments. Ask me, or anything else for that matter, and I'd be willing to speak with you and share with you and trade with you anything that I know of. But I do recommend it. So, is it cigar of the year for 2019? I don't know. That's up to you guys to decide. You try it. You tell me. Thank you for watching. Till next time, Backyard Cigars.